Gentlemen, what is going on this morning? My name is Ryan Mickler. I'm the host and the founder of the Order of Man podcast and movement. Welcome here today. This is a podcast designed to give you all of the tools and resources you need as a man to thrive, to excel, to build your business, to build your bank account, to build your body, to build the relationships that you have a desire for, and ultimately to achieve whatever objective that you're after. Today, I'm going to talk with you about something important, which is the idea of just making your presence known and felt. This is something that I think men can be better at. This is something I think we as men should improve upon, because when our presence is known, we create more opportunities for ourselves. Inevitably, when I talk about these issues, guys talk about not needing to have some sort of false bravado or air of arrogance to them. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about real substance, real depth, and real opportunities that you can create for yourself by making yourself known, not in an obnoxious, overbearing, condescending, egotistical, arrogant way, but in a way that is confident, in a way that is secure in who you are as a man, in a way that inspires growth and confidence in you from others, and ultimately helps us lead a better life. More money in our bank account, more opportunities in our romantic relationships and interests, more business opportunities, all because we're going to make ourselves and our presence known. Before I get into it, I want to talk with you about getting our store, our merchandise store, back up and running. We have 3 shirt designs available right now. They're all on pre-order. I've got a couple of new hats coming soon. I've got a couple of beanies coming soon. If you go to store.orderofman.com, you can check it out. It's a great way to support what we're doing. You can check out our Hold Fast t-shirt, our original Order of Man shirt, and the last one is our Iron Sharpens Iron shirt. All 3 are available for pre-order right now. Again, head to store.orderofman.com. All right, let's get into this. We're talking about making your presence known. I was inspired to talk with you about this today because my good friend Tanner Guzzi with Masculine Style, and we're going to talk a little bit about style as well later in this conversation, sent an email out to his email database, his email subscribers, and the email subject line was titled, "Take Up More Space." And in the email, he talks about the importance of making ourselves known, the importance of putting ourselves out there, the importance of exerting ourselves and showing people what we're after and what we want. And I was really inspired by this email. It makes a lot of sense to me because of the reasons I suggested to you. And ironically enough, or interestingly enough, him and I actually had a conversation later that day. And I told him I wanted to talk about this on a Friday Field Notes. And we talked a little bit about 4 key components of the way that he says is it taking up more space, and the way that I say it is making your presence known. And we're going to break this down one by one. And then we're ultimately going to talk about what it leads to. So the first thing that you need to do if you want to make your presence known is you need to have some level of performance. All right. And I'm not saying that you're doing a dog and pony show. I'm not saying that you're going to be a clown and perform like you are in the circus. What I mean by performance is that if you want to make your presence known in environments, whether it's with women or potential employers or clients, is you need to have some metric, some standard of performance in your life. You need to have excelled. You need to have integrity. You need to be a man of your word. You need to be somebody who is succeeding, or at least working towards succeeding in your life. If you're not doing that in your life and other facets of your life, it's going to be very difficult for you to make yourself known in certain environments, to make your presence felt, because you're going to want to shy away and shirk from the limelight because you don't want to be exposed for what you are, which is potentially weak, cowardly, maybe even a fraud. But if you're a man of integrity, and look, I'm not always that individual, but I'm striving to become that individual. And when I fall and mess up, I attempt to take responsibility for it. And I attempt to shore up those areas so that I can look people in the eye, so that I can walk into the room with confidence, so that my posture is where it needs to be, so that when people look at me or at least feel my presence, they think, man, that guy's got it, right? We've all heard of it explained as the X factor, but it's not some mystical force that nobody can quantify. It's very quantifiable. I'm going to talk with you about the perfect formula for it today. But guys, the first thing you need to do is, before you even start to try to impress other people, because that's not what this is about. Those are externalities. And before you try to make people think that you're somebody important or an influencer or a celebrity or any of these things that so many young men are after, you need to ask yourself, am I performing? Am I going to the gym? Am I paying off debt? Am I developing and building new skills that are going to help me in the marketplace? Am I showing up responsibly and powerfully with my wife and my children? Am I showing up in a way that elicits confidence and inspiration and influence with other people? And if you're doing that, then all the rest of what I'm going to share with you today becomes less relevant. Not irrelevant, but less relevant, because you have the core, the foundational component, which is confidence. So many people that I talk with often ask how a man develops confidence. And they ask almost as if there's some sort of crazy formula for saying the right thing or doing the right thing or wearing the right thing. And all of those factors can play a part. But if you're empty and you're weak and cowardly and hollow inside, then no amount of cologne or fancy clothes or fast cars or smooth words is going to help you overcome you feeling inferior about yourself. And this is a plight of modern society, is this idea that you should just feel good about yourself. The problem with that is that you're going to have this internal dialogue that says, on one hand or one shoulder, you've got the angel that says you're special and you're amazing and you're beautiful just the way you are. And then over here, you've got the devil who says, no, you're not, you're worthless, you're cowardly, you're weak, you're pathetic, you're a sack of shit. So who do you listen to? Neither. The answer is neither. All right. You're not perfect the way you are, because if you were perfect the way you are, then you wouldn't have any ambition to do and be more. But you're also not a sack of crap. You're not a pile of garbage. You have inherent worth in who you are as a human being. And so it's up to you to realize and to tap into that potential and say that I am worthy of something great, but I have to go out there and earn it. And when you do, your performance will speak for itself and people will start to see that. They won't always be able to put their finger on it, but they'll say to themselves, that's a guy that has something going on. Women will notice it. Clients will notice it. Potential bosses and employers and team leaders will notice it. And you'll find yourself put in a position of more opportunity. Number two is your presentation. Guys, when I'm talking about presentation, I'm talking about what you wear. I'm talking about the words that are coming out of your mouth, your tempo, your speed, your pace, the way you groom your beard or lack thereof, the way you do your hair, what you're wearing, all of the way that you present yourself, the package, right? The way people see you. Do you have like stubble that isn't groomed and tidy? Is your hair a mess? Do you smell like good or do you smell bad? Are you wearing clothes that you got when you were in high school 20 years ago? Are they loose and baggy when you're showing up in your car or you're having somebody in your car? This is a great litmus test. What's the first thing that a person sees? All too often when I get into somebody's car, it's like McDonald's cups and wrappers and bullshit laying all over the car and on the ground and on the floor. And they're like, hold on, let me get all this stuff out of here. Oh, my kids or my kid. No, it's you. All right, this is your space. And now you're wanting me, you're inviting me into your space. And if your space is a pigsty, how can you expect that I'll have any sort of respect for you? Like, I won't. And I know I hear people saying now, like, oh, well, you shouldn't judge a book by its cover. That's great in fantasy land. But here in the real world, we all do it, including you. That's why you're listening to this podcast. And if you've listened to at least 2 episodes, you came back for a reason. But if you thought it was bullcrap, you wouldn't be back here. So this is why I invest, for example, into proper cameras, into proper lighting. If you listen to the podcast or watch the podcast on YouTube, which you should do, by the way, at youtube.com/orderofman, it's a good plug there, then you would notice that a month or 2 months ago, the podcast studio didn't look quite like it looks today. That's because I invest in the way I present myself. I went with my girlfriend and her children and my 2 youngest children to Legoland over the weekend. And I saw dad after dad wearing baggy shorts and socks with sandals and baggy, gross t-shirts with holes in them. And their hair was a mess. And look, I'm not trying to judge those guys. I don't know them individually. But what I do know is that I was looking at them and it wasn't favorable. So we can use that information to our advantage. Guys, if you go into an employer looking like that and saying, well, he shouldn't judge a book by its cover, how often do you think that's going to work for you? If you're interested in approaching a woman, but you look like a slob and you smell like trash, you think you're going to have any odds of going on a date with her? Of course you're not. So let's stop playing the game of like, well, it shouldn't be this way. Let's operate in reality. And the reality is that the men who get the opportunities are the ones who are the part and they look the part. Now, there's always exceptions to this, right? We see, and Tanner talked about this in his email. You see a guy like Adam Sandler and you think, well, look at this guy, hyper successful, can have the woman he wants. He's got plenty of money and he's wearing like baggy gym shorts and gross old dad socks with dad shoes and a baggy ass t-shirt. And they think, well, there's an example of why I don't have to. You're not Adam Sandler, right? You're not Mark Zuckerberg. You're not Elon Musk. And I think Elon actually takes it to the next level a little bit, but you're not those guys, right? So we don't, as average, ordinary dudes who aren't already famous, we don't have the luxury of wearing stuff like that. We don't have the luxury of just showing up and hoping that people don't worry about the way we present ourselves. Present yourself well. Spend some time thinking about, what am I wearing today? What does it say about who I am? What does it say about the message I want to convey to people? What does it say about my abilities? And I'm not just talking about your clothing. I'm talking about your words, your tempo, your pace, your vocabulary, your knowledge. Present yourself, websites, business cards, even the vehicle. Is it clean? Is it gross? Is it something that's 40 years old and just a worn down hunk of junk? Or is it a nice, it doesn't have to be nice, but at least, modest, clean, organized, straight. People can tell you take care of it. If you want more information on this, then I will refer you over to Tanner Guzzi. He does an amazing, amazing job. Tanner Guzzi, Guzzy, and his site and his coaching that he does is all done through Masculine Style. Highly, highly recommend it because he does a phenomenal job in this department. The next point that I want to make is we need to also consider our physical form. When I say physical form, I'm not talking necessarily about your physical fitness and your physique. We're going to talk about that in a minute. I'm talking about your physical form. That's the way you sit. That's the way you stand. That's the way you occupy space. It's your gait. It's your stride. It's your tempo. It's your pace. It's the form in which you operate and navigate your environment. If you're hunched over, shoulders down, hunched over, slow, monotone voice, like you don't care, what is that saying? Well, it's saying you don't care. And people aren't going to believe that you're occupying space. People aren't going to believe that you're a success. People aren't even going to give you the time of day to create the opportunities that you're after. So stand up. Stand up. If you're sitting down, sit upright. That's actually a struggle I have. I tend to sit in my chair and hunch down and slouch. Sit upright, shoulders back, chest up, breathe through your nose, carry yourself well. If you're moving from point A to point B, act like you have somewhere to be. I'm not telling you need to run a sprint, but damn, like you're not just killing time either, are you? Like hopefully you have somewhere to be. You have something to do. If I go into a store or I see a server at a restaurant and they're busy, but they're busting their ass, they're running all over the place and they're talking with people and I can see their tempo and pace is where it needs to be. I don't care how busy that person is. That's the person I want to work with. That's the person I want to serve me. That's the person who I want to be my sales associate or my financial advisor or my accountant. But if he's hunched over and he's just kind of like, whatever, and he's letting the environment and what happens around dictate how he handles things instead of asserting himself, sitting upright, being engaged in conversations, being engaged in the environment, and having this idea of physical form, the way that his physical body moves throughout time and space, you're just not going to have success doing that. So a great way on this to evaluate, because sometimes we don't know, is to get third-party advice. And you could do it for any of these points that I'm making today. But if you can get third-party advice from people who care about you, and you can ask them, how do I move throughout space? Like, am I slow? Am I lethargic? Do I have high energy? Is it overly energized? Does it make people anxious? Is it obnoxious? That's something to consider as well. What do you think about my posture? Like, do I hold myself well? Do I carry myself well? I mean, you can look at a guy pretty quickly and determine, oh, that guy's athletic. Oh, that guy has somewhere to be. That guy is important. That guy's successful just by the way they carry themselves. So if we want to be those things, again, this is not to take place or replace the performance component, which is step number one, but it's in addition to. Imagine if you performed well day in and day out, so you had this internal confidence, you presented yourself like a powerhouse, and your physical form, the way you carried yourself, showed the world that you are actually a capable man, capable of doing good and powerful and righteous and noble things. How much better would your life be? So you could ask a third party and ask them, hey, do I carry myself well? Do I present well? In what areas can I improve? How's my grooming? How's my clothing? When you see me walk into a room, what do you think? What do you think about the clothes that I wear? Ask them, and ask them to be honest, but respond in a constructive way so that they will be honest. Because if you ask them to be honest and you lose your cool and you flip your lid, then they're never going to be honest with you again. So ask them to be honest. And if it hurts, fine. But just say thank you and try to implement the feedback so that you can create better results in your life. Guys, the last thing I want to talk with you about today, and I talk about this every single week, is we need to improve our physique. We have to. Yes, there's the strength reasons, and there's the living longer reasons, and there's a higher levels of energy. There's all of that. But look, if I got to choose between two guys in a scenario, getting a job, for example, and all other things are equal, I'm taking the one with a good physique. You know why? Because I know that guy's disciplined. I know that guy works. I know that guy cares about himself. I know that guy has the energy to attack whatever it is I'm asking him to handle. So if I look at two men at Legoland, for example, and I see one guy, and I did plenty of men who were strong and fit and jacked, and then I saw a guy right next to him who was fat and overweight and out of shape and didn't carry himself well, who did I think more highly of? Of course, the guy whose physique was fit. And again, here comes the people saying, well, Ryan, that's not fair. You don't know. I don't know. That's the point. I don't know. So all I can do is make decisions on what I'm presented with. And what I'm presented with is physical appearance. And in 90 to 99% of the scenarios that you're met with in life, your physical appearance is going to be a major factor in how people view you. It may not be fair. It may not be accurate. It may not be right. Like, who cares? It is. So let's embrace it and use it as a powerful tool to accomplish what we want. Guys, go to the gym, eat correctly, put down the processed foods and sugars, feel your body, get rest, get recovery, get shredded, get jacked. These are all things that I'm personally working on. I'm not perfect. I'm not awesome, but I'm working on getting there because I want it to be that when I walk into a room, people acknowledge me. People see that I'm somebody that has something to say. People see that this is somebody who's important, not for the vanity of it. Don't mistake that. It's not for the vanity of accolades and praise from unknown people. It's for the opportunities I want to create. If I'm in the dating space, I want to create as many opportunities as I possibly can. If I'm in the job market, I want to create as many job opportunities as I can. If I'm vying for clients, you better be certain somebody else is working for that client, and I want to create as many favorable reasons a client would do business with me over my competitor who doesn't listen to this podcast. Guys, we can do better in this. We can make our presence known. We can make ourselves felt. We can inspire and cultivate trust and influence with other people, and we can accomplish the goals that we want. And all of this leads to, and I'm stealing a page from my good friend Keith Yackey's playbook. He talks about the importance of power. Power. We can be powerful. All of us have internal worth as men, but it's all untapped. It's unrealized potential, and it's stored energy. I was teaching my kids about science last year, and we were talking about energy. Energy cannot be created or destroyed. It can only be transferred. So we already have all of the energy that we need in our lives right now at our disposal to accomplish big things. And right now it's just stored. It's stored energy. It's not what they would call kinetic energy, moving energy, energy that's creating heat and friction and results. We can be powerful. We are already powerful. We just need to transfer the energy from stored to kinetic. And we do that by performing well. We do that by presenting ourselves to the environment in a way that's conducive to what we're trying to accomplish. We do that by improving the way that we move throughout the environment, our physical form, and we do that by improving our physique. I hope that serves you. I hope that helps. I hope more of you want to step in. I hope that next time I go to Legoland, there's more of us who care more about this because it's going to present opportunities. And yeah, is it going to work at Legoland? Maybe not. Maybe, maybe not. But you know where it will work? In the walls of your home, in your bedroom, in the boardroom, in your community. It's going to work in just about any environment you find yourself in. And you're going to find yourself getting known. You're going to find yourself with more opportunities, and you're going to find yourself with more abundance. I hope it serves you guys. I mentioned Tanner Guzzi, a good friend of mine with Masculine Style. I mentioned Keith Yackey, another good friend of mine with Married Game. Go check out both of them. They're both doing phenomenal work and helping men accomplish more in their lives. And hopefully you feel the same about what we're doing here. Also, if you want to support what we're doing and look good by having an awesome t-shirt or a battle planner or a hat or anything that we offer in the store, head over to store.orderaman.com. Great way to support us and look good in the process. All right, you guys, we'll be back next week. Until then, go out there, take action, and become the man you are meant to be.